So a little bit about me. I'm Johanita Serfontien, like they say, also known as Jo. People can't always pronounce my name. Thank you, Bruce, for introducing Jo. People get confused with who I am. But Johanita Serfontien and the deal maker, that's what I love doing, is bringing people together. Can I just check that you can see my screen, my slides? Perfect. Thank you. So leadership starts with self-awareness. I was thinking, what do we do when we talk about empowering women? And as much as we have men online today, welcome and thank you. I think the lessons are for you as well. But I wanted to start with us as women. So often we look at ourselves. We start asking the questions, am I worthy? Can I maybe see any of you on the screen? Are there any of you sometimes thinking, am I worthy of being a leader? And we start doubting ourselves. We start saying, why should they choose me? Can I lead? Especially if we walk into a boardroom and there's a whole bunch of men sitting around us. And we start saying to ourselves, will they listen to me? Will they follow my lead? So I think I wanted to start with saying, I always start my sessions by saying to people, have you ever considered the seeds in an apple? So let's take one step back a little bit. We look at leadership, we look at self-awareness. Where do I go with this story? Let's look at a plain and simple thing like an apple. Sometimes we eat the apple, we use it for juice, we use it for jam, for pies, for all of that, but we don't consider the seeds inside the apple. I'm saying that it's not about the seeds in the apple. It's when we look at that little seed, one seed that we plant, we need to look at what are the bigger effects. How do we grow a tree? How do we grow apples from that seed inside of us? And I want you to think today and just stand still during my talk and think of yourself as that leader that will create and grow orchards and apples around you. As a leader, you are the person in developing that atmosphere and that environment for others to succeed. So in my topic of self-awareness, let's have a look and say, what is self-awareness? Is there any one of you that could share with us in the chat box what you think self-awareness is about? If you think about that, what is the crux of self-awareness? And let's quickly see in the chat box if there's any of you sharing with us there. So self-awareness, what's that one word that has to come in with self-awareness? Having insight into self, thanks Janet, beliefs, thoughts, emotions, right? Consciousness, aware of who I am. I love that, Nolan. Yes, it's who I am. And while the rest of you type, I'm going to add the definition. The definition of self-awareness is actually the ability to take an honest look at your life, without any attachment to the outcome, without thinking, am I right, am I wrong? It's literally, what am I? It's literally the honesty of where you are. And as a leader, we so often look at other people's opinion, we look at what they say, their feedback, the growth in the company, the growth in the team, or where they're at emotionally. But we need to very much first start with, where am I? Do I have the confidence to lead? So if we are honest about ourselves, the next thing we're going to do is to say, what is leadership? So if I need to be self-aware, which means honesty, if I look at leadership, what does leadership mean? And leadership is a process, and this was interesting to me, of social influence. It's not telling people what to do, it's influencing people socially, which then maximize the effort of other people. Okay, so as a leader, I need to be honest about how I influence people socially and how I maximize their effort so that we can achieve a goal. So sometimes our goals differ. Our goals are either financial goals, or it's influential goals, or motivational goals. So can I ask you right now as a leader, what is your goal? If you share with us in the chat box, as a leader, what is your goal? Is that goal to lead yourself? Is it to lead your team? Is it to grow a business? Is it to become more influential? Share with us so that we can see what people are going through. And yes, it is John Maxwell saying leadership is influence. It's nothing more, it's nothing less. It's influence. And to get people to actually follow you willingly, not just because it's positional leadership, but actually because it's influence and people want to follow you. They want to be part of what you stand for. Becoming a bigger global influencer. Thanks for sharing, inspiring people on my path. It's interesting that no one is saying to grow business or to make more money or to go global with businesses. Nolan, I see it's about impacting humans. Yes, leaving everyone with an impression of increase, of becoming more. So in that, I want to share with you, I believe that, and one of the methodologies that I created over the last while was the apple tree methodology. Because as we see in the chat box, everybody is on a different level. Everybody has a different phase of where they are. In my business at the moment, it's about becoming a master of time management. I need to lead myself because right now, I don't know if there's any of you, I feel overwhelmed. There's a wedding coming up. There's a new client coming on board. There's end of the year targets to reach. There's team members that's going through some emotional issues. There's so much to lead that I actually sometimes feel my own inability of managing my time well and efficiently is prohibiting the influence I have on other people. But within the apple tree methodology that I want to share with you, it's all about taking that next step. It's all about realizing where we are. Whether you're in the sprouting phase, whether you're in season of summer or winter or autumn or spring, where you need to prune whatever you do. In my case, where I need to let go of some of my activities. In other cases, there are activities that's flourishing, where I have the fruit, the proverbial fruit from my apple tree is ready for picking. But there's other places in my life where I have to prune and cut and let go. So in order to do that, we need to understand really where we are. And as a self-aware leader, I want to give you a bit of a guideline. I want to talk you through my methodology today. 6 steps of leadership self-awareness. 6 steps that you can follow in your journey of becoming a better leader as a woman, as the lead of an organization, but as the social influencer of those around you. So walk this journey with me on step 1. Step 1, let's look at the soil of your apple tree. Let's look at the soil of your leadership environment. It's the health of your environment. It's the discovery of where am I a good leader. So how many of you, with a show of hands maybe, or if you can indicate, have asked your team, how good am I as a leader? How many of you have ever asked your team to rate you as a leader? How brave are you to do that? Or how scared are you to do that? Because we don't always like the feedback. But remember what was self-awareness when I shared that with you? It's about the honesty. Without honesty, you won't know where to change or adapt or improve or cut. So my challenge to you in becoming more self-aware on your leadership is discover. Ask. Ask those that you lead, but more importantly, ask those that lead you where you are as a leader. Take that honest feedback and work with it. For an apple tree, we need compost or more worms or less water or whatever that is. But if we're not honest with where you are, everything you do after that won't be as fulfilling as the honest truth. So your number one challenge is discover, ask, get feedback. That's how we know how to grow. My second step in the apple tree methodology is the seed. What are we working with? What are your strengths and weaknesses? But let's focus on the strengths today because we want to empower. What are your strengths as a leader? Where do you shine in leadership? Bruce and I often have this conversation. So Bruce calls himself the first responder. He's great at any first responding of any crisis or anything where people need to ask the question, what happened? My leadership style is great when there's crisis. I'm naturally the general in my family or in an environment. I easily tell people what to do, but it's not always received well in an environment where you have to consult. So I know my leadership style is where there needs to be clear direction, action, movement. That's my strength. What is yours? What strength, what seed as a leader are you growing? Are you growing apple trees or pear trees or naartjies, or what is it that you're growing? Are you growing motivational teams, inspirational teams, action teams, or analysis of businesses? Find out what your strength is, because that's where you will shine. Our third step in leadership development is the roots, where you anchor yourself. It's that awareness of, if you know that you're the first responder or the crisis leader or the motivational leader or inspirational leader, then that's where you need to focus. That's where you need to grow and grow your roots and put it deep into the ground. That awareness will give you the strength of influencing people to take action. Not telling them what to do, not forcing them, but influencing growth. Do you know where your roots are reaching right now? The third step is our trunk. That's when we start going above ground, where we start getting our strength and our purpose and what people see as a leader. It's that self-talk. Do you think that you're a leader, or do you question it? Do you know what kind of leader you are? I see here, I'm an influential, motivational leader. Is that the self-talk you give yourself? And if people come back and say who you are, do they repeat that? What do people see in you as a leader? But more importantly, because remember, today is about empowerment and today is about honest self-motivation. Like, what do you know? What do you tell yourself you are as a leader? The fifth step is when we start finding direction. The fifth step is where you reach out to others and you start telling them who you are, what you offer, what you bring to the party. It's the who you associate with. It's the who you put yourself out to be. And once you've done that, we go to step number 6. And step number 6 is the fruit of your effort. It's the profit. It's the self-mastery of yourself as a leader. It's the how the world perceives you. In all of this, there's a beautiful story. Whether you are an apple that we pick for juicing, whether you're an apple that we use for pie making, whether you're an apple that we use for export eating, the story goes the same as a leader. Whether you're a leader over one, a leader over 5, a leader over millions of people, or lots of money, what is the influence that you have over those that you lead? Starting with yourself. So I'd love to hear from you. Out of these 6 steps on the screen that you see now, what is the most difficult one that you are dealing with right now? Is it where you're at? Is it your strength? Is it identifying your awareness and knowing where to plant your roots? Is it your self-talk that you're battling with? Is it the fact that you don't know where to reach out to and where people will need you? Or is it that none of this has brought money in? None of this has paid? Because in those different steps, we all battle. So if you can, please put in the chat box for me where I can reach out. There's tools, self-evaluation tools, there's team tools, there are talks, there are workshops that I can help you with, and there's a lot of free help. So I'm not asking you to pay me for anything. That's not what this talk is about. It's about self-awareness. It's about helping us to influence those around us. If there's at any of these stages where I can help you or provide you with information or even come and help you develop this awareness in your team, I'd love for you to do that, because it's through helping people, it's through helping conversation and through telling our stories like Lois did in the first bit of today. It's through sharing our story that we learn from others. It's through knowing how we can influence those around us that we grow and that we become stronger in forming our roots. There's a story that says that 3 little apples changed the world. The first apple was the apple that Eve ate, and we all know what happened after that. The second apple was the apple of Newton that fell on our head and defied gravity for a lifetime. And the third apple was the one I love. I'm an Apple girl. I love Steve Jobs. I've got a Mac. I've got an iPad. I've got all of that. But it's 3 little apples that changed the world forever. My question to you, what kind of leader are you? What kind of seed do you plant and grow trees and orchards from? Because that's the legacy that you leave. Thank you so much for the time today. There's a little bit of time. If there's anybody that would like to share something or ask something, please do that in the chat box. It's through learning from people that we grow. But my challenge to you is be honest. It's only when you know what seed you are that you can grow it, feed it, properly nurture it, to grow those orchards and to provide that support to those around you.